Zimbrick, Corporate Partnerships and Premium Seating Manager here at the Fox Theater in Atlanta. Laura, we want to talk a little bit more about the Marquee Club, a very exciting renovation project here at the Fox Theater. Can you give us a rundown of everything that's involved just from a space and design perspective associated with that project?
With the design, we wanted to not detract from the grandeur of the Fox Theater, but we wanted to pay homage to it. So it's a really beautiful space. Lord X. Sargent did an amazing job designing it for us. It's going to be roughly 10,000 square feet of space. We'll have room for about 400 people, so it's going to be a very comfortable atmosphere. There's going to be really lush, inviting seating. We'll do handcrafted cocktails. We'll have 5 premium bars. We've got private restrooms, private entry, a host at the entry. There's dedicated parking. There's a dedicated ticket concierge. And inside the space, it's just going to be a beautiful place to hang before the show and intermission. Before the show and intermission.
And can you provide a little bit more detail on how it's going to be programmed and activated? Are there going to be, quartets and just give us a rundown of what the experience is going to be like inside of the space on it that night?
Inside the space, we really don't want to detract from what's going to be going on stage. We want to build up to that. So there may be some live entertainment. It'll likely be post-show if we have it, but it's really just going to be about mingling and enjoying the space and getting kind of amped up for the show that's coming up. Because at the end of the day, that's really what it's about. People are coming for the show. So it's just it's a really lighthearted, really sweet space where people can hang out, especially on the rooftop terrace where they'll be able to look over Peachtree Street and into Midtown. That's going to be the crown jewel, looking at the beautiful Marquee.
And speaking of the Marquee, perhaps we just gave it away, but I'll ask anyway. Why is this particular club being branded the Marquee Club? What's the significance of the name? It
very much is about that Marquee. That's the landmark. That's where people know to go. It's a homing beacon for people. People have associated the Fox with that marquee since 1929. It's been sitting there. So it is a staple of the Atlanta skyline, and the rooftop terrace itself plays really well into being a part of the Fox experience and getting to view that marquee close up. It's something that hasn't been able to be done since the 50s, I think. So that's really exciting for us, and that was a major, major part of the club design and therefore the name.
Are there any conversations at present with any of your corporate partners about, probably not naming rights at this point, but how to attach them and involve them with this space?
We will have a presenting rights partner, so it'll be the Marquee Club presented by X. And they will activate very tastefully, very modestly, in a way that doesn't detract from the design, but also gives brand awareness where necessary. It's going to be ID on glassware, beverage napkins, that kind of thing, subtle signage. It's going to be beautiful, and it'll pay respect to them in a way that's tasteful.
And how have you involved your premium seating patrons, your corporate patrons, into this design? Do they have a voice in this process? Are you getting feedback from them? And how are you using that to inform your design decisions?
We actually kept it very hush-hush while we were doing the design and planning process. We wanted it to be a big, beautiful surprise for all of our guests, including our corporate partners. We had a big reveal party a couple of days before we made the big announce and showed them the renderings of the space, and it's been overwhelmingly positive. They've been really excited about this project. But we wanted to keep the design of the space as timeless as the theater itself, so we didn't involve our corporate partners in the design process, and therefore it will remain the Marquee Club and will remain for another 100 years, 200 years.
Well, that's a great example of surprise and delight, which we hear all the time. A great way to service your customers. So certainly appreciate you sharing that strategy with us. Laura, who is going to have access to the Marquee Club on an event night, and what is the capacity of the space?
In short, anyone can have access to it if they want an upgrade experience to any show at the Fox. We will have annual memberships available beginning in January. And then once the club actually opens on a case-by-case basis, if there's capacity remaining, then we will sell it on a per-event basis. The annual memberships have been split into 3 different categories. So there's corporate, individual, and Broadway subscriber. We wanted it to be available to everyone. We wanted everyone to have the ability to enter the space and to be a part of it.
Do you expect this space to be used on non-performance days? And if so, what types of events are you planning on?
At this time, no. It's very important to us to have that space open for every single event. And for some events, for performing arts venues, we may not know that a show is coming until 2 weeks out. So planning for another type of event is, it's just not likely and not impossible, but difficult. So we want to keep it open for every single public performance.
Laura, we've touched on the fact that there's going to be some new food and beverage experiences inside of this club. Is there any more detail as far as types of food, types of beverages that you can provide?
Yeah, we are very excited about the food and beverage offerings. Right now what we have is very traditional concessions in the theater. We're talking pretzels and hot dogs and popcorn, so we have a lot of room for movement. The menu as it stands, it's very fluid, and we haven't decided whether it's going to be in-house or celebrity chefs or what have you, but we will have some kind of rotating display of food that will play to the space and will play to the performer on stage. We'll have handcrafted cocktails. We're going to have wine on tap and beer, of course. It's also part of a larger initiative for our food and beverage program. We're going to be increasing the technology that's available to our guests, not only the pre-order for intermission, but also line busting technology and reducing the wait times and enhancing the experience for our guests.
Any details you can provide on how you're going to accomplish that? Or is that for a later story?
Not yet, yeah. Until I have ink on paper, I can't share anything.
Fair enough, Laura, you've also mentioned a couple of times that you're trying to attract perhaps some newer, younger visitors here to the theater, extending the experience to those types of folks. How are you doing that? What are some of the marketing strategies to reach the younger clientele that traditionally haven't been involved with theater like this?
Well, thankfully, I'm not fully steeped in the marketing world because I'm not very good at social media. I'll be honest, I am the oldest person in my office. But social media is a big part of that. Marketing to a younger generation to build that affinity with the Fox is very important to keep us alive for the next 100 years. It is starting with our community engagement initiatives. When in the early stages, 3rd graders are getting an experience through what we call Fox in a Box, where we take a piece of the Fox, of our history, and we have a display of what our history looks like, and we tie it into their educational programming so that they get a better understanding of who we are and what we do and why we're important. But you go up to the teen years and the 20s, and kids really want experiences. They want to be a part of it, and they want to feel good about it. So it's all about highlighting those things about the Fox, about the performers, about what we're doing in the community, and why it's so much more exciting to go to the Fox and see a show than to see it at any other venue, really.
Sure. And Laura, without divulging any details, just generally speaking, do you think this is more of a one-off project, or is this the start of perhaps a series of renovation projects here at the Fox Theater? How are you going to continue to improve the premium experience after the Marquee Club project is over?
It's going to be largely customer service. I think we all can do a little bit more and do a little bit better when it comes to servicing our guests properly and meeting their needs and exceeding their expectations. That will always be the through line for us. It's always going to be a part of what we do and how we evolve. As far as future renovations, I can't speak to that. I don't know of anything in the works currently, but we're looking at, every day we're looking at new opportunities for us to be better stewards of the Fox to the patrons of Atlanta.
Laura, so perhaps a better question is, do you think we're going to continue to see projects such as this one installing new corporate hospitality spaces in performing arts centers around the country?
Likely, yes. So part of our research here was contacting, I don't know, maybe 100 performing arts centers around the country to see what they're doing and if they're in talks about making changes and upgrades. A lot of them are. It's sometimes on a smaller scale. We have our own issues that we have to overcome, our own pain points, if you will. And so everybody's kind of approaching it a little bit differently, but performing arts in general, yes, they are making changes. If it's for their donors, for their subscribers, it really depends on who their main patrons are that they want to speak to specifically. But yes, definitely performing arts centers have seen that there's a need and that they need to fulfill it.
Laura, in closing, I'll ask you very simply, is there anything related to the Marquee Club, to other aspects of the Fox Theater that we haven't touched on that are worth mentioning to our fellow members of the ALSD community?
Not necessarily, but I will say that I need to give a shout out to not only the ALSD community, but other venue professionals in the industry. They have been so helpful for so many years in the research of this project, and I feel that I can call on any one of them at any time, and they've always been so helpful. We have this beautiful family here that I'm so glad to be able to call on, so thank you to all of them.
Laura, thank you for spending your time with us here this morning. You've been very generous. Thank you so much.